Coming up on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, I tell you exactly what a box safety is. Like, why does Steve keep bringing that up? And also, I'll tell you why it is actually the key to the Ole Miss defense in 2022. Stick around. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, this is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Willis. Thank you for tuning in to us today. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Do us a favor on YouTube, subscribe, upvote the video, and also hit the bell for notifications of future videos coming down the pipe. So thank you for that. So today, on today's show, we're going to talk about exactly why I'm going on and on about a box safety at Ole Miss. What is a box safety? We're going to talk a little bit about that. And then in the second segment, we're going to talk about why that is the most important position on the field for the Ole Miss defense. So that's just what we're looking at. We're going to kind of dip into scheme a little bit today. We're also going to talk about why it's important and the players that are going to fill those roles. It's going to kind of double as a box safety preview segment. So thank you for sticking around for that. Okay. Well, when looking at what's going on, and now I'm going to put some X's and O's up here, and it might be a little bit confusing, and if it is, just put it in the comment section below, and we'll try to get to it. But in the comments below, my question of the day is going to be, which of the players is going to be the top operating box safety? That's Tysheem Johnson, Otis Reese, Isheem Young, or Ladarius Tennyson. Those are kind of the four players. Who is going to be the breakout performer at the box safety? Who's going to be this year's Jake Springer? That is the question at hand. Who will be the next Jake Springer? So put that answer in the comments below, or you can tweet it at the Stephen Willis. You can see it right there on the screen if you need my Twitter address. So you look at the base formation of the defense, the 3-2-6, and you look at it, and that's kind of what it looks like, the base. You've got the nickelback that's doubling as an outside linebacker, because it's essentially a variation of personnel on a 3-3 stack. And the J position is in the other safety, and sometimes that position is in the middle, but together with that goes together to make a 7 or 8 man box, depending on what you want to do. So the J and the N move up, and they provide protection in the run game. The free safety also has a role as well. So that's just kind of what the defense looks like. We've gone all in on this defense. We need to learn this defense. You need to be prepared of what's going on, because this defense handles play volume pretty well. And that's the reason we do it, because of how fast we go on offense. This defense can handle play volume pretty well. So you switch over to this, and this is a pressure look and a way to do that. You see the D right there and the nickel up at the line of scrimmage. So that's the two players. So that nickel and that D is who I'm referring to generally as box safeties. When I say box safeties, they're safeties that are playing up at the line of scrimmage. And when you have four safeties, generally they're going to be there. Now, the mainstay of this defense is versatility. You can line up and do 4-3 things. You can line up and do 3-4 things, 4-2-5, 3-3, 3-3-5. It doesn't matter. It gives you all the versatility to do those things. And in doing so, it's going to require hybrid players to exist. Now, basically what you have is one of the players is going to be basically a hybrid outside linebacker safety that you've seen all the time in the 3-3-5 and the 4-2-5. That's not a new thing. On the other side, there's a safety that's a hybrid safety and a linebacker that is more safety than linebacker. So it's going to be the other side of the hybrid. But their job is to allow for movement around. Now, in Ole Miss's system, with what they're going on, you can see a little bit how it does. Jake Springer lined up in that nickel position all last season. I mean, that was a mainstay. And then you had Tysheem Johnson on the other side rushing the passer. And whenever they were together, they were really special. But whenever one of them was out, you had to move Keydron Smith in, who was a good player. I like Keydron Smith. But he's not necessarily built to be a box safety. Incredibly unselfish what he did last year. moving up into that position because he was not a box safety. Now, you move up with the Ladarius Tennyson, the Otis Reese, the Tysheem Johnson, the Isheem Young, and you see them at those two positions near the line of scrimmage. They can all play that and all that play that pretty well. They can play back in the strong safety position. They can even play back in the free safety position, which is going to cause some rotation in the defense and allow them to be more versatile than you would expect. And in doing that, you're really able to fool the quarterback. This is a defense that basically uses the offense's rules against him. It's one where if the offense is a count offense, and what I mean by that is count defensive linemen or count players in the box, and that determines our play call, this is really going to take advantage of things like that. It uses the offense's rules against them. And these box safeties are incredibly important. Now, I expect Otis Reese to move down. We'll talk about this in the second segment. I expect Isheem Young to fill the role that Jake Springer did last year. Year two, Tysheem Johnson, he can move back and even play some free safety. You're also going to have players like Davidson Ikumanuson go into those positions because of their versatility. These are extremely versatile things. And if you think about it, 4 players, that's 4 out of 11. That's nearly half of the defense. Think how versatile that allows you to be. Now, the trick in all of this is when teams like Alabama play murder ball. Can you stop them playing murder ball? We did against Texas A&M. We didn't against Alabama. Now, against Alabama, we didn't have Jake Springer. We didn't necessarily have the personnel in place. This year, they should be more ready to do that. They've got physical box safety type players to fit into roles and do versatility. This defense, you could have an 8-man box and it looks like a 5-man box. Completely fools the quarterback from their instant read. Even before you get to coverage, what you think they might be doing, your read is already messed up because you did 5 in the box and your play call is going to be dictated off of that count. That's the reason I like this defense. That and its ability to handle play volume is the reason I like this defense. And it's really strong. So when I talk about a box safety, I'm talking about the safeties at that particular moment that is playing down at the line of scrimmage. Usually 1 or 2 players that is going to be down in the line of scrimmage. Sometimes they take one of the box safeties and move back to the middle of the defense. They're actually in a run fit. They actually have a run defense responsibility, but they're playing behind the linebackers. Like I said, this defense messes with the count of quarterbacks. And this is the reason teams have trouble playing against defenses like this. Because you should be able to run the ball and get them out. That's what you're taught. In a 5-man front, you should be able to run the ball and get them out of this and get them back to the line of scrimmage and open your passing game. Well, that doesn't necessarily happen because the pre-play positioning is not where you expect it to be. And if you look at the 3 defensive linemen and the 2 linebackers, we have personnel that coming in that can play those pretty well as well. So I expect an extremely physical defense, really, moving into this year, scheme-wise, 3-2-6. And a lot of that is going to be because of these box safeties. Can you imagine if we had Jake Springer earlier in the year? I'd have liked to see us play Alabama, honestly, with Jake Springer. But by the end of the year, they were pretty good. They were pretty salty on defense, and I think that is going to continue as this year moves on. I'm just really impressed with the scheme. I know some people it's like, oh, Alabama and Arkansas was able to run the ball. It's because we have a 3-man front with 2 linebackers, and that's simple football. That is old thinking. Absolutely old thinking. The players to play defense and the way we need to do it are assigned. There are run fits for every play. They have to make the play that they're tasked with doing. Now, the question is, last year, were there some players asked to do things that they couldn't do? That's fair enough. Now, the fact that we're recruiting to this should get it better and better and better as the years go on. And I think as the years go on, this 3-2-6 is going to be quite impressive. And I expect Chris Partridge to be there and help with a co-defensive coordinator. I think it should be somebody from the John Haycock tree or Barry Odom tree, some up-and-coming coach that you're interested in kind of building into being a coordinator. That is my suggestion. Find somebody that's 30 years old that's in that system and get ready to go, because let Partridge do his things for a year or two and then have the next guy ready to go, just like Nick Saban did. Because it's important. In this age where players are jumping, coaches are also jumping. Lots of movement. The staff that stays together is not a thing anymore. You need to prepare for that. Luckily, we have an early adopter at Ole Miss that is ready for that type of stuff. This time of year is the time of year I've pretty much given up on all my New Year's resolutions, but not this year. I'm sticking to my resolution to eat right. Thanks to Built Bar. It's almost like it's not really a resolution because I actually enjoy eating them. Have you tried Puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of the Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs is one of the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar, they're a treat. And they're covered in 100% real chocolate, much like all things at Built Bar. So it's low calorie, high protein. Replace your candy bar with these. They're better. A typical candy bar can be anywhere between 200 and 300 calories. So mint chocolate, coconut almond, and new for this month, white cookies and cream. They're all delicious. They're all new flavors, and they're all coming out all the time. If they think a flavor might be good, they'll make it. It'll be delicious, and it will be good for you. At Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it delicious first, then they figure out how to make it healthy. And I don't know how they do it, but they pull it off every single time. So here's the offer. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off. Built.com. All right. Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Do us a favor, hit subscribe, upvote the video, and of course hit the bell for notifications whenever they are released, if you don't mind doing that. Now, in the first segment, we talked a little bit about the scheme that was the 3-2-6 and what we're doing on defense and what exactly is a box safety and why are they so important to this defense. Now, I'm going to tell you the 4 players that are going to be counted upon to be playmakers as box safeties in this defense moving forward. Now, Davidson Igmanuson, I'm not going to bring him up yet. He's somebody that could fit in. There's other defensive backs that could fit in as well, but I'm simply going to talk about these 4. Now, the question of the day, leave in the comments below, is which box safety do you expect to have the greatest impact in 2022? That would be Tysheem Johnson, Otis Reese, Isheem Young, or I think I said Tysheem Johnson. I can't remember if I said him or not, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Put that in the comments below or give me a tweet at the Stephen Willis. So, looking at these players, and last year it was apparent. When Jake Springer was in the game, we had a decent defense. When he wasn't in the game, we struggled a bit, and that was because of personnel being asked to do certain things. You needed really physical players to play that box safety role. Tysheem Johnson kind of grew into it as the year went on. And I think, like I said before, he's got honey badger type ability. I expect him to really perform and to progress this year and next year. I expect to see him some at free safety, honestly, this year. But you might see somebody like Davidson Igmanuson to go with A.J. Finley in that position. So that'd be the 4th safety. We don't really talk about them. It's about the other 3 in the triangle that we go back and forth on, because those are the 3 that rotate out and become box safeties and run game safeties. So if you look at it like that, I expect Tysheem Johnson and Isheem Young to get the first crack at the 2 line box safeties. I think the 3rd safety that's going to play a lot is Otis Reese. And I think his ability to play on the back end of the defense as well allows them the flexibility to where he could be the middle of the defense type guy coming down to play the run, defending the pass back deep. So, if you look at those guys, Tysheem Young, Isheem Young, Ladarius Tennyson, Otis Reese, I think Ladarius Tennyson is going to fit in as the backup in the box safety role. The role that Keydron Smith had this year would be something that Ladarius Tennyson can play and can do. The versatility of the DBs in this defense is almost beyond belief. They do a fantastic job, and they do different things. They're asked to do different things, and so they really learn. The box safety on the field will have completely different safeties as the box safety on the boundary. The J safety or whatever that plays back in the middle of the split safeties that has run game responsibilities, that plays a completely different role. Then you have your normal safety stuff of free safety and strong safety that they also have to learn. This is a difficult position to learn, and something that it should be commended that they're learning how to do it, because the defense as a whole, this allows them to do so many things. Like I said, I expect Tysheem Johnson and Isheem Young to be the guys that play down in the box this year, and I expect Otis Reese to wreak a little havoc as well. And I also expect them to rotate between those three positions. You might see Tysheem Johnson, you might see Otis Reese, you might see Isheem Young playing in between those two safeties. And down in the box, you might have the other two. That's what I am expecting. Now, that is the base 3-2-6 that what we're doing. And this is why it's important what we're doing in it. Because we can still do traditional 3-4 and 4-3 things. We have the personnel to do it. It's just vitally important for these box safeties to fill the role and do whatever they're asked. There's going to be some 3-4 stuff that they're going to be asked to do. And you'll have two outside linebackers playing, but they're actually two box safeties. But instead of 6'4", 250 pounds, basically hybrid defensive ends over there, you're dealing with 6 foot 210 safety types. People that, whenever the 4-2-5 was coming in vogue, you started to see outside linebackers at that height and weight. So it's the same type stuff that's been happening for 2 decades. But thanks to the play volume that we have to see, and that's the important thing, really, in all this. Everybody talks about, well, we need to do defense. We need to, in a lot of cases, it's a simplicity thing. Oh, this didn't work. We need something new. That's not the case. This defense works really well with play volume. It just does. Whenever we get up around 90 plays, which is possible with Zach Evans, Jackson Dart, Michael Trigg, and those guys on offense, you need a defense that can absorb the play volume that they're going to have to see each and every week. And you need people against Bryce Young that can cover, because they know where you're going to be with the simple 4-3 stuff and the inability to do stuff. You don't have super athletes like Georgia has. They have 5 stars everywhere. You don't have that. You don't have that luxury. But if you go into a team or go into a game and face Bryce Young, and he knows exactly where you're going to be, you're in trouble. I mean, you're just genuinely in trouble. If you can confuse him and do a little bit of versatility, you have a chance to get a pick or two in that game. Just like last year, we got a pick, and that was with us essentially dropping 8 every play. That was before we realized the key to handling Alabama was blitzing. But that confusion with great players is your benefit. That's how you help yourself. And because of that, I think it's going to be the most important position on the Ole Miss defensive field. How the box safeties play will determine whether how far this team goes. Will they be 8-4 and in the Las Vegas Bowl? Will they be 7-6 and in the Music City Bowl? Will they be 10-2 and in the Sugar Bowl? The box safeties are going to tell that tale. This is the most important position on the field for Ole Miss football, bar none, except for maybe kicker. But we'll address that a little bit later as time moves on. Football might be over for this season, but basketball is in full steam for pro and college hoops. From the latest odds, totals, and player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline.net is the number one spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just about basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds, right to the Olympic coverage and information. Head to the website today and use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. We have gone over the 3-2-6 and box safeties and what exactly that is. We've determined the 4 players that are going to be playmakers in that system. What does this mean for the defense? We talked about this a little bit last segment, but this allows a base of versatility and allows you to play 4-2-5, 3-5 stuff that you wouldn't normally have the personality to play. The versatility is going to be huge. There's even 3-4 stuff that you can do, even though you don't have two 6'5", 250-pound outside linebackers. But because of that, you're always going to be able to confuse the quarterback. If you line up a certain way, and there's a certain way, if you see what they do, they line up nearly the same way every play. And whether they play the defense that they're showing or they do the disguise that goes with that defense, nobody knows. The versatility of these players is the strength of this defense. It's not going to be a defense that's going to overwhelm you with a ton of size. Although on the defensive front, there is some this year, including Xavier Harris, who's like 360 pounds. He's a huge dude. Linebackers, you have some athletic guys. We talked about this yesterday. But you have to figure out what they do between here. You have to find two guys that are going to be where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. We had that last year. Box safety, same type thing. They need to have it up here. Because if you have a team that plays good defense 70 of 75 plays and gives up 5 explosives a game, I'll show you a 4-8 team. Period. Doesn't matter how good the offense is. So they need to be where they need to be every play. If they do that and handle their business, this will be a successful team. Because Ole Miss is set up, nobody wants to talk about that because Ole Miss got Jackson Dart and Michael Trigg, and there's rumors of Deion Smith in the portal, and Malik Heath, and all of those. Ole Miss got Zach Evans. And it's about building up a team for Zach Evans. Zach Evans might be the best player ever to come to Ole Miss as far as most talented player. He's a guy that has Adrian Peterson type ability, like college Adrian Peterson, before he got old and did it whenever he was running for 270 yards. He has that type of ability. So you have to set up a team around him that can emphasize his strength. So you see an Ole Miss find bigger wide receivers on the outside to block, to handle what's going on. And because of that, you can really use him. On the defensive side of the ball, you need a defense that complements that. We've talked all the time about complementary football and why it is not one size fits all. Everybody thinks, oh, you can't play tempo because that's not complementary football to your defense. No, that's not complementary football if you're playing a 4-3 or a 3-4 in a traditional setting. If you're playing defense the normal way that you did in 2005, no, that's not going to work. The complementary football, the tempo is going to eat that up, period. Too many big dudes on the field. Too much to handle the play volume they're going to see. So the complementary football, the defense has to be able to absorb what the offense is going to do and handle that. That's why this 3-2-6 is so important. And these box safeties within that are the most important cog of the 3-2-6. If they're not there, the other team can run the ball. And if they can run the ball, you have a little bit of trouble. Because you can stop the pass, but if they're getting 5 yards a carry, it doesn't really matter. Your defense will be on the field all day. They'll go down and score a touchdown, and it's up to your offense to even the score. Those box safeties are the key to this defense. And because of that, it's important to realize those 4 players and their importance in this team. Right now in winter workouts, we're 4 or 5 weeks from spring. But right now in winter workouts, Ladarius Tennyson, Otis Reese, Tysheem Johnson, Isheem Young, this is incredibly important for them because they're going to take a leadership position within this team as well. Otis Reese is probably already there, but this is important for Isheem Young. This is important for Tysheem Johnson to take that next step up. Ladarius Tennyson to be recognized. He's a physical guy. I look forward to seeing him playing box safety. I just am. But when all that takes in, you can see the leaders of this team being built up. I think Troy Brown is going to end up being a leader on this team. You don't get to be a 3-time All-Mid-American Conference player, first team, without being good. So we know he's good. Now he just needs to handle the other stuff to fit in with this group. And I think he will. Because I think his head's on right, and he knows what he wants. And right now he wants to get to the NFL. The quickest way to get there is not Central Michigan. It was Ole Miss. It was the SEC. And that's why he is here. Those box safeties are insanely huge for this defense. The most important players on this team. I expect Zach Evans to have a big year. I expect him to be featured almost in a way like Derrick Henry was at Alabama in 2015. If Zach Evans can stay healthy, he will break every single season rushing record in Ole Miss history. And he will be here 1 year. That's the way I think this is going to go down. So, anyway, thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. Tomorrow, we will continue our look at the post-spring perspectives with the normal secondary. Now that we got the box safeties out of the way, we'll talk normal secondary tomorrow. And Friday, we're going to talk about special teams to get us ready for the weekend. If you're looking for basketball coverage, you can go check the post-game pod that was posted last night after the game. We talked a little bit about it. And, of course, we're getting ready for baseball season. We'll get started as well. Kara McCutcheon will not be here this week. She couldn't make it. So just be aware whenever she doesn't show up Thursday that there's nothing nefarious going on. So now make the second listen Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. It's been a fantastic day. Hope everybody has a good day. As always, tell a friend about the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Retweet it on social media. Do what you can to do. Evangelize this as best you can. And we'll continue to have fun. I'll continue to tell you about what you need to hear. Until then, see you next time. Hotty toddy.